Well, good evening, everyone. It's good to see people. We are beginning our February 28th meeting of the Oak Grove Community Council. So we're glad to see people here. Do we have any first timers other than presenters? Do we have any members who are here for the very first? You can just raise your hand.
There's someone named Charlie. Is that someone who's been here before? I don't know who you are.
Well, we can do introductions too then.
Okay.
All right. Well, my name is Valerie Chapman, and I am the chair of the Oak Grove Community Council. Mark, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Mark Elliott, and I'm the vice chair, and I live off of Concord Road on Riesling Road.
Jane?
Jane Civiletti, treasurer, and I live on the corner of Oak Grove Boulevard and Fair Oaks Ave.
And Joseph?
Hi, I'm Joseph Edge. I'm on the board of directors at large, and I live in the River Forest neighborhood.
We'll invite people to introduce themselves. Cindy?
Hi, I'm Cindy Brown. I live at Roseville.
Welcome. Charlie?
I'm Charlie Hinkle. I live on Fair Oaks.
Welcome. Baldwin?
I'm Baldwin Vanderbilt. I live on Neff Road, 3 doors away from the Stringfield Family Park.
Good to have you. Thelma?
Thelma Hagan Miller. I live on the corner of Southeast Southview and Westview, just south of Concord.
Welcome. Ricky? You want to unmute yourself?
Haven't been on Zoom for a while, so I've forgotten how to do that. I'm Ricky Schoenthal. I live at Willamette View.
Welcome. Pam?
I'm Pam Moran. I live at Roseville.
Welcome. Craig?
Good evening. Oh, Greg or Craig?
Craig. You're a member? Yes.
Okay. Craig Van Valkenburg with Willamette View.
Welcome. Tom Hammond?
Jolene and Tom Hammond on Viewcrest.
Welcome. Craig? Greg, excuse me.
Greg Wennison. I live on Oak Grove Boulevard between Fair Oaks and Laurie.
Welcome. Linda?
I'm Linda Seals, and I live on Woodland Way, south of Oak Grove Boulevard.
Okay, welcome. Anita?
I'm Anita Blackmar. I live on Fair Oaks Avenue.
Welcome. Eleanor?
I'm Eleanor Hunter, and I live on Laurie Avenue, just south of Oak Grove Boulevard.
Dave?
Dave Toback. I live at Roseville.
Sue?
Sue Conahan, and I live at Parkview Circle.
Welcome. Laura?
Yeah, I'm Laura, and I live on Park Avenue.
Welcome. Is this your first time with us, or have you been with us before?
I've been here before, but it was only one time many months ago.
Okay. Well, welcome. We're glad to have you. Daniel?
Hey, Daniel Dare Greenside. I live just up near the back station.
Welcome. Karina?
Hi, Karina Archibald. I am here from TriMet, Community Engagement.
Okay, welcome. I wasn't sure if you were a presenter or a neighbor person, but thank you for being. Wayne, we missed you at the beginning, so.
Hi, I'm trying to break my new website in, so sorry I'm a little late. I'm Wayne Potter. I live at Willamette View. Happy to be here tonight.
Wayne is also an at-large report. Bob?
Well, good evening. My name is Bob Knorr. I'm from Clackamas County's Engineering Division, and I'm the design project manager for the county.
for the Courtney Avenue project. So we appreciate you having us tonight alongside Cameron Ruin. She's our public government affairs staff member. She's greatly assisted me along the way here. And also tonight, just take notes and invite her along.
Well, we're glad to have you.
Yeah, Cameron,
Bob
why don't you introduce yourself, Cameron?
We'll catch her in a minute. Let me
Sounds
finish
good.
with the neighborhood. Bob Bohannon.
Hi, I'm Bob Bohannon. I live on Southeast Laurie, kind of adjacent to Rosevilla.
Welcome. Donald Macarnas. Well, maybe they'll be back. Have we missed anyone? That's Bernadette. I know that you're going to be up first, so I'm going to let you introduce yourself when we get there. You've been with us before. All right. Well, if we missed anyone and if last names, Jane Civility might reach out to you on the chat if she doesn't have a last name to put to the attendance records of our community. Why don't we move to our officer reports? Jane, do you have a treasurer report?
Yes, I do, Valerie. The Treasury stands at 2,000. Well, we have had one donation. It is a donation that was made by Willamette View with the intention of eventually funding the 5013C that Oak Grove Community Council will be forming. So that donation was in the amount of $1,000, and that will be placed into the probably the initial fund for the 5013C when that gets all the paperwork done, which leaves us with a little bit of more money right now for the time being at 2,000, getting it down, Valerie, $2,799.64 temporarily.
We don't have a secretary with us tonight, but we did send out minutes. So I'm going to ask if there were any corrections or additions to the minutes as they were sent out. There are no corrections, no additions, then they will stand as they were sent out. Thank you. I will say a report back from the board at our meeting last month. There was a motion for the Oak Grove Community Council to send a letter to the interim director of the NCPRD in regard to filling the vacant DAC position for our District 2. And we did write a letter and sent that also to the county, and Mark and I met with Cindy Becker, who's the interim director. And we want you to know that that moved forward rather quickly, and Anita Blockmeyer is now officially the other representative for District 2. So, yay. And I'm sure there will be things to say later on about NCPRD and DAC, but I wanted to let you know that as part of our board report that we did take care of that, and it went in the direction that we were hoping.
Yes, it was heroic, I think.
Okay. All right. Our first up tonight, Bernadette Lee with TriMet has an update for us.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Okay, I'm going to try to grab my screen. Oh, can I have screen sharing enabled?
Yes, just one minute.
Awesome. Thank you.
I forgot you were having trouble getting in.
Yes. For some reason, my computer locked up when I tried to connect to my sound. So, okay.
But you're here now, gratefully.
I'm here now. Thank you. Okay, can everyone see the PowerPoint? Yep, okay. So, hi everyone. Thank you again for having me back to share about the Park Avenue garage expansion project. Before I get going, I did want to take a second to, actually I should stop sharing. Introduce Karina a little bit more. She said hi during introductions, but I just wanted to let everyone know that Karina works on the community engagement team. So the team I work on is community affairs at TriMet, and we focus on community engagement for large construction projects. And Karina works in the community engagement team, which really works on connecting with community members and community groups throughout our service district to get the word about large TriMet initiatives. So she works specifically in supporting your area in Clackamas County. So I just wanted to take a moment and introduce her to this group and let you know that she is part of the TriMet family and she is available for questions if anyone has any questions about other TriMet initiatives. So with that, I will go back to screen sharing and thank you, Karina, for joining us tonight. Okay. So getting back to Park Avenue, in March, we'll start adding the 2 new floors that I've come and spoken with this group a few times about. And tonight I'm going to share some more about what to expect during construction. So just to orient us all about where we're talking about, the garage is located south of the Max Station, east of Southeast McLaughlin Boulevard, north of the Elks Lodge, and then east of the trolley trail. So it's right in between those 4 landmarks. So our current schedule, our design phase is now complete, and we are getting close to construction. You'll start seeing folks working at the site starting in the next week or so. And work will start with things like setting up fencing around the garage, adding overhead protection at pedestrian entrances. In the first phase, crews will also be preparing the staging areas, doing things like clearing the areas, laying down an access way between the Elks property where we'll be doing some staging in that top level of the parking garage. And they'll be adding some temporary surfaces on the west side of the garage to use so that the equipment that they need to use for the project can be placed there. So we do expect that there will be some vibrations when they install the gravel crane pad and the laydown area. I checked in with the project team and they are choosing equipment that minimizes this as much as possible. And the work is anticipated to last no longer than a couple days and will be limited to normal standard workday hours. In mid-March or so, you will also see crews starting to remove concrete from the pillars on the top floor so that they can access the metal rebar and eventually extend the, to the additional floors. Throughout the project, we will provide notice to neighbors if any work requires a noise variance, but at this point, I did check in with the project team and there's no work that meets that level at this time. Last month when I was here, Valerie asked the question about what our typical workday hours are going to be. So I wanted to loop back with everyone so that we're all on the same page on this point. And typical workday hours are going to be between 7 and 4 Monday to Friday. Weekend hours are not currently planned. And if we end up needing to work early mornings or late evenings outside of kind of the standard allowed hours, we will apply for that noise variance and then notify neighbors appropriately. A little bit more about driveways. The garage is planning to remain, or the project team is planning to keep the garage open for most of the project. The entrance and exit points of the garage will be through the Southeast Park Avenue driveway. The entrance off of Southeast McLaughlin Boulevard will be closed during the project because they are going to be working on that top level of the garage. So that entrance will not be open. There is some planned work next month that's looking like they're going to have to reduce the open parking during that time. So there'll be information posted at the garage when this occurs, letting people know about the Southeast Tacoma Park and Ride. And then finally, one other point I wanted to highlight for everyone is that since we're, building up on this garage, we are also going to be extending the elevator. And while we do that, we're going to need to temporarily close the elevator so that we can, add that additional height to it. Work is scheduled on the elevator starting in mid-March. And the ramp on the east side of the building from the second floor to the first floor will still be open. So there will still be access. We just won't have the elevator running. I also heard some questions last month about contact information and that sort of thing. So I wanted to present this to everyone. Here is my team email, communityaffairs@trimet.org. If you have a question during kind of normal business hours, our phone number is 503-962-2150. And then if there's any construction emergencies that come up after hours, our phone number is 503-962-2222. And our project webpage is trimet.org/Park Avenue. So with that, I will say thank you. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see everyone. And does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Bernadette.
Yes.
If you have a question, you can use the raise hand option or just raise your hand. Okay.
Well, if anything comes to mind after and someone wants to reach out, please feel free to email or call.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Here, and Karina, thank you for coming, and we got to know you too. So, all right.
Great, thanks. I think if it's okay, I might excuse myself for the rest of the meeting. Okay, I hope everyone has a great time and I'll see you next time.
Bye, Karina. All right. Let's move to the Courtney Complete Street Project and Bob Noor and Cameron Ruin.
Good evening. I'm Bob Noor, as mentioned, Clackamas County's Engineering Division. And I'll give Cameron a chance here. Cameron, would you introduce yourself here if you can hear me? She might be busy at the minute. Anyway, as mentioned, Cameron Ruin is our public government affairs staff on the floor. She and other staff member help us present our projects. There you are, Cameron. Take it away.
Hi, Bob. My name is Cameron. Like Bob was saying, I'm a community relations specialist. I assist our project managers in capital projects and transportation maintenance, and I do some work for dogs and sustainability and all sorts of things at the county in our transportation and development department. So I will be here tonight taking notes, and if there are some websites or something for questions that y'all ask, I will put things into the chat to assist. So that's what I have. Back to you, Bob.
Yeah, Cameron provides great service to us as project managers in the engineering team, helping us kind of stay on track with our public outreach. She helps put together the project websites that you look at, puts together these meetings, and coordinates with your folks. So we appreciate Cameron's help and also the chance to be here tonight. So I'm going to start with the PowerPoint presentation that we have here. And I think I just need to share the screen with you. I too haven't done, there we go. Zoom here. I think that's it right there. Are you folks able to see that?
Yes.
Great. Again, this is the Courtney Avenue Complete Streets project. We're just getting underway with design. I gave notice to proceed in August and with some initial preparations. We started design in September, October. This is a federal aid project. We have received federal funding through ODOT and the Department of Transportation, and then also Metro. It's a grant project that we applied for and successfully received funding for. So we have some certain commitments that we've made to Metro, to ODOT, and the federal government for the kind of project that we're designing, particular standards and whatnot. And I can kind of share some of that as far as the layout of the project goes. Right now we're under design. We started, as mentioned, in the fall. It'll go, it's quite a lengthy design period. I think what I wanted to say too is we're actually quite a bit of work right now is environmental work. Doing studies, hazardous material studies, environmental studies related to stormwater, archaeological studies, historical studies. When there's federal funding involved, these sort of things need to occur. And while we're also doing the actual design of the layout itself, we are figuring out where to place the project footprint, I call it. We're not planning to buy right away or very little right away. So we're trying to work within the existing public right of way that we already have out there. We're approaching 30% design, expected about the latter half of March. And as shown there, we're working to minimize impacts to adjacent properties as much as possible. When we get to about 30, or I should say 60% design, they'll present the 60% design package to us for review. And I say they, I should back up and say that our consultant engineer that we hired is Harper Hoff. They've worked for the county for many, many years and do a fantastic job. Harper Hoff is right now, as mentioned, putting together the 30% design, and we're expecting the 60% in July. Once the 60% design has been reviewed and approved, and we've made some minor adjustments to the project footprint if necessary, at that point we feel pretty confident that we can move forward with right-of-way. The right-of-way is has to be authorized for to proceed by Department of Transportation. It's a separate funding phase of the project, and at that point, it's to go on about a year. It's a pretty lengthy process, reviewing properties, doing assessments, acquisitions, talking with neighbors if necessary. And if we're not buying permanent easement, we might be buying temporary construction easements to allow us to at least step on other property, work on property during construction, and then putting it back afterwards. So, as shown there, utility relocation and construction. Construction, we're hoping to get rolling in the summer of 26, maybe actually late spring. As you know, the Courtney Avenue is on the northern half, relatively northern half of the county there. It ties in with or 99E or McLaughlin and runs east-west, the western terminus there at River Road. What we'll be doing, any of you probably are aware of the trolley trail network. We're going to take a look at the existing crossing there at Arista and make any sort of enhancements that we can to improve flow of traffic, and also not only for cars and vehicles, but pedestrians as well. So some of the standards have changed with the ADA standards in the last year here, and we'll be applying those new standards as well to the project. So safety improvement project, we're trying to separate, I think it'd be a huge improvement, It's adding separating vehicle, traffic from pedestrian traffic, making safe places for bikes, pedestrians, and vehicles. Every project seems to entail a management of stormwater. So we are going to be, they're actually under design right now, looking at the existing stormwater system and making improvements, adding new storm pipe, catch basins, placement of such. But also, in this case, we have some new planter strips and we're putting in rain gardens as a way to address and deal with added stormwater. When we widen roads or we add pavement and whatnot, we create a condition, we call impervious surfaces, where the water can't get through to the ground to absorb. And we have to, then that water runs off, we have to deal with that. And one of the ways on this project that we want to do that is through what are called rain gardens. You've seen those driving around Portland and in the area as well. They're depressed kind of concrete wells with planter strips and plants, and give the water the ability to absorb.
There's a question, Bob.
Yep.
Do you want to take that question now, or do you want to wait for questions at the end?
Happy to take a question right now.
Okay, Bob Behind has his hand up.
One of the things you said just a couple of minutes ago, you were talking about the design process taking a while. I was kind of surprised at how long it's taken. It's a pretty short strip of pavement there, essentially. But you said something about looking at completion in 2026.
That's right.
Did I hear that correct?
You did. And just like the Jennings Avenue project to the south there, that took about 2.5 years. And when you have federal aid money involved, the review process that ODOT and the Federal Highway Administration go through is more rigorous. You have to do a number of environmental studies up front. That takes anywhere from 6 months to a year. Writing reports. Actually, you have to go out and do investigations, desktop studies, and field work. Bring that information back and write reports. Those reports then are presented to both ODOT and the Federal Highway Administration for review and comment back and forth. So that involves, as mentioned, hazardous material. There's shoulder soils, or soils in the shoulders that need to be reviewed for hazardous materials such as lead and asbestos, not asbestos anymore, copper, lead, and zinc. Come off your brake shoes on your cars. So that soil has to be reviewed, and we decide what to do with it, either dispose of it or bury it underneath the sidewalk and contain it, is what I'm trying to say. There's historical studies, there's archaeological studies, and there's a number of different studies that are involved in the environmental phase. And then I mentioned right-of-way. During the right-of-way phase, that's pretty lengthy. That can go anywhere from 18 months to 2 years sometimes. And that starts typically, as mentioned, after the 60% design phase. So right-of-way will really get kicking off late summer, early fall. And surprisingly enough, it takes quite a while to get through the right-of-way phase, to review each property, doing assessments, acquisitions, and then go out and actually talk with each property owner about the project in front of their property, the effects. Once right-of-way is done, then that and environment has to be certified by ODOT and approved for the process that we went through, and then we can proceed with the project as far as approving the plan specs and estimate, and then going to bid.
How big? Another second question. How big is this project? Is it running from Oatfield to just River Road, or is it going to extend down Courtney to Fair Oaks?
No, it's just between McLaughlin and River Road, actually.
Okay.
The scope of work that was written, I should say, that the grant application and the scope that was presented in the grant application was for between McLaughlin and River Road.
Interesting. How many people do you have working on this project? I guess I got to apologize. I'm just kind of dumbfounded that it's going to take this long to do not even a half a mile project. It just seems excessive. Sorry.
It's okay. I understand. I felt that way myself oftentimes. It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
It's definitely a head scratcher why it's such. I understand the bureaucracy and all that, but my God, guys, this is a little crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And the requirements over the years have become greater as we've gone on. The environmental standards and requirements have increased, safety standards, and even right-of-way standards. The actual design and roadway work actually starts to become kind of a minor part of the project. So I'll move forward.
Thank you. I have a question.
Wonderful. Go ahead.
I drive the full length of Courtney from Fair Oaks to Oatfield regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And the driving conditions between Fair Oaks and River Road are greatly inferior to the eastern direction. So my question is, why aren't you well, or are you? Is there a separate proposal underway to at least repave that section of Courtney west of River Road? I don't know if you've driven it yourself, Bob, but I mean, in terms of just driving, I mean, I realize there are other considerations, but for drivers, that's quite a hazardous stretch of road there, west of River Road on Courtney.
Yeah, I can appreciate what you know, and folks call me directly, and they call other. It's hard to know who to call at the county sometimes, depending on what the issue is. And in this case, and you're always welcome to call me, and I'll try to answer questions. Feel free. If I don't know the answer, and in this case I don't, I'll punt. But from experience, what you're asking about is a maintenance issue. And tonight we're talking about a capital improvement project. Maintenance issues, you're always welcome to go to the transportation maintenance website, and we can provide phone numbers and ways to do that. But they take what's called road concerns, and you can share those concerns with them, and they try their very best to prioritize those and deal with matters related to maintenance and maintaining our system. We've got over nearly 1,500 miles of road to maintain in the county. It's considerable, and so we're doing the best we can to not only implement a capital improvement project like this one, but also maintain our existing system.
Well, my question to you though would be, well, maybe you don't know the answer to this either. Why was the capital improvement project proposal stopped at River Road? Why not continue the 3 further blocks?
I can help answer this because
sure.
This is Joseph Edge. I'm on the board of directors. I'm also on the Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee at the county, and was when we worked on the grant application for this project.
Yeah.
And the ultimately the stretch of Courtney that's between River Road and I think Oatfield, but really McLaughlin has a different roadway classification than the far western segment west of Courtney. It's a connector, and so it's a higher traffic volume street, and it needs to be designed to accommodate those higher traffic volumes. Whereas west of Courtney, it's a very low traffic volume street. And I realized that we've heard some feedback recently about Rose Villa construction related traffic on that western segment of Courtney. But that doesn't change that the regular traffic volumes are generally lower and significantly lower than the middle and eastern segments. And so that was where, with limited federal money available to apply for this grant, and a very competitive grant cycle in that particular year, well, every year, but in that year for sure, we had to put some what we felt were reasonable limits on the project in order to help it be attractive to the grant selection committee. And that was one of the ways that we did that, was to focus on the higher traffic segment of the street.
Joseph, thank you. You articulated that wonderfully. And Scott Holscher, and our senior planner, likely worked with you, Joseph, and your team to put that grant application together. By the time the planning process is completed, and Joseph and others have provided input, and it's presented to me quite a ways down line, I received the end result of that grant approval. And so the scope of work and the project footprint, or I should say the area, the lengths and the extents of the project have already been set. So I've been given my marching orders, and as a project manager, I've been, asked to do certain things. And he's right. This is a collector. This section of road between Oatfield and River Road is a collector. It's about 0.6 miles in length, or 3,170 feet. The section west of River is a local road. The volumes are much less. So we're trying to deal, again, we're going for the areas of priority. And this was a priority area right here. And getting back to my slide presentation, I don't want to take too much of your time tonight, but happy to do is, stay as long as you'd like. We've got a proposed section and an existing section. And you can see from existing, we've got two 12-foot travel lanes and a bikeway shoulder. It's kind of a paved shoulder. In areas it's gravel. And we're simply trying to create some safer areas for sidewalks, planter strips where we can absorb some of that storm water, and then a buffered bike lane. It's an 8-foot wide bike lane with a 2-foot buffer, a painted area. You've seen these folks, I'm sure, that can kind of provide a safe buffer zone between the edge of travel lane and the bikeway itself. I'm looking here at that raised speed table at the intersection of Courtney and Linden. I'm not sure we're having one there. We're having one at Arista, so we'll review that.
Both intersections. There's two.
Yeah.
There's two speed tables. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Paving the road. Well, let's see. Widen portion of the road within the project limits. People have asked whether we're going to overlay the whole roadway, and the answer is, as written there, we're not. That wasn't part of the original scope or grant dollars. We've got limited funding, and so the intent is to widen and pave where we've widened, all within the existing right of ways as best we can. We're looking at two options right now. The original option, the original scope of work was for no parking, because we're adding a landscape strip and we're making drainage improvements. So that doesn't allow us an opportunity. We needed to remove parking. However, we've received some feedback from folks about parking, and so we're making an attempt here to look as to whether we can provide parking or not. It's still under review at this time. Wanted to show you just a real brief, there's a template here, typical section of what we're talking about. I don't know if you can see real well in that lower corner there. We've got two travel lanes. They're two 10-foot wide travel lanes, and then the bike lanes on either side, 8-foot total. After that, to the left or the right is a planter strip where the rain gardens are, and then the sidewalks. Where we are able to, and if we are, if we do add any parking at all, we are considering some in front of the apartments to the east of Arista, between 99 and Arista. It would be on the north side, a limited number of parking. And what it means, though, is reducing the bike lane. And that's a concern for us from a safety standpoint. Why? There's limitations on this because we're trying to work within our existing right-of-way.
We have another question from Thelma Hagemiller. Can we take her question?
Sure.
Bob, what treatment are you planning where the trolley trail crosses Courtney?
The existing treatment is a raised speed table, I think, right now at Arista. And I wanted to, oh, I know how I can do this. Okay. This is the current, we call it a strip map. And the consultant has put this together, and I wanted to show it to you briefly. Again, here's that typical section for what we call the baseline option. It is the typical section that we're utilizing per the grant and what we've committed to. If you travel down the roadway here to Linden and Arista, there's the trolley trail. There is an existing, we call it a speed table. It's kind of a raised concrete section in the roadway. And what it's under review right now. We're taking a look at it as far as making ADA ramp improvements on all corners. And in so doing, we've been making connections to the sidewalks. And we're looking at other design parameters, I could say at this time. I was trying to get, there's the hand. What Harper Hoff had shared here is in our RFB at the trail school crossing. We're making improvements such as traffic related safety improvements, advanced warning signs and lights that would help. And what I wanted to show you is what that looks like. A rapid rectangular flashing beacon is shown right here on our Jennings Avenue project. This is an example of what it, actually we're just going into construction right now for Jennings Avenue, but we are installing one of these there. And I grabbed this off of the website so you can see what a rapid rectangular flashing beacon looks like. If we do put driver feedback signs on Courtney, they'll look like this too. It gives feedback, you know, tell you guys, all of you folks know and see these devices. Here's the buffered bike lane, something that we're considering for Courtney. And that's what I wanted to share that.
We have another question from Eleanor Hunter.
Sure, Eleanor, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. You had a picture just a little while ago sort of showing a cross section of what the street, there you go, down there.
Yeah. Yep,
And
yep.
I'm just wondering, is that something that is going to be sort of the standard for projects going forward?
Here, let me share
Like, is
with
this
you.
unique to Courtney? I mean, it seems like it incorporates a lot of things we've been hearing for some years about the desire to, you know, bike lanes and swales and things like that. So I just wonder if this is.
Yeah, let me stop. Oh, wait, maybe I can do this. If I move my dialog, can you see my notes there in my dialog box? Move over.
I do not know.
Okay,
No.
I need to switch. I wanted to just share with you what a cross section looks like. So I'll let me take care of something here. Oh, just about there. Hold on a second. Okay.
You're doing great.
It's always a challenge. So, oh, I stopped sharing. That's what I did. What do I want to share? I want to share this screen. Okay. Are you able to see the map? The little function?
No,
Classic.
you're not sharing right now.
I have to press the share button, don't I?
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
All right. When I start a project, I always create lots of notes for myself so I can remember what I can't remember.
Right, I follow you there.
There's a lot of information to keep track of. So in addition to the project description, which we've been talking about, and what was in the grant application, and some of the safety concerns that we have about bikes and cars next to one another. One of those is doors opening on vehicles. So we are creating a buffer, not necessarily a raised concrete one, but painted one at this point. The cross section for this project is this one. It's a modification of what's in our comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is being updated, I believe, or at least the TSP is. But when we do update those, this is what an urban collector cross-section looks like. You've got 2 travel lanes, a median in the middle, bikeways and parking. And we start from there. This is our standard. And for this project, we started with the standard, but then we modified it where appropriate for the urban section, the amount of right-of-way that we want to or have available to us to deal with. And this was what was presented in the grant application. 2 10-foot travel lanes, an 8-foot bikeway, 5-foot, 5.5-foot landscape strip, and then 6-foot sidewalks. And then if I roll back up, that's what you see right here.
Right.
Yeah. Now, have I answered the question, or did I have evade again?
Not really. My question is this proposed, what's going to happen?
Oh.
Is that a standard that may be used in other projects that's part of the bike ped network, that we understand it's like bit by bit is getting filled in a way that's beneficial for the community, like safe ways to schools and that kind of stuff. So is this going to be a template that we might see in future projects?
This
or
is
would it be different for each project?
They're a little different for each project, as that's stated. This is the template right here, the typical urban collector cross section. That if you were, and I have to kind of dig for this myself when I go onto our planning website.
Okay, but then it's adapted depending on where the projects are. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks. Yep.
You betcha. Let's see, stop sharing in there.
I have another question from Greg Wennison, and then we probably better let Bob finish his whole presentation. Greg, you want to go?
Yes, I've heard, what I've looked at here, and I was looking at the overhead from Google Maps, because when I drive down this, I don't really pay that much attention to the trees, but there are mature trees along this area here. Are you planning to remove them or work around them?
We are, in fact, are you able to see that PDF that I put up, the strip map with all of the or are you looking at my PowerPoint presentation?
We're looking at your strip map, Bob.
Oh, good. Okay. I can't always tell. It behaves different. So on the strip map, okay, to answer your question about trees, there are, let me think about this for a minute. This goes all the way to River. This option here shows us putting, the baseline option shows us putting planter strips in along the edge of travel, along the edge of the bike lane. The green is the planter strip, and then the sidewalk is the gray with the little black dots. Okay. That would require us to take out more trees, I think, than not. I do see some trees here, and if I could zoom in a little bit, or with my bubble, yeah, it takes a little bit. You can see the tree symbols right here. That little, can you see that little star? Some of those, most of those trees are on private property, and the property lines and the right-of-way lines are the blue long, short, long dashes that you see right here. Not a perfect overlay of where they're located, but actually we did have survey out there, so they're pretty well tied to where they're located. What the conversations I've been having with the design engineer with Harper Hoff is trying to preserve some of those trees. And so in the option B, we are talking about not only considering some parking to the east of Arista, but we're also talking about intermittent sidewalks that are curb tight sidewalks. So you can see, unlike the other option up above, the baseline option, the alternative option shows some of the sidewalk jogging back and forth. Can you see that there?
Yep.
And that's to avoid trees that are real close to the property line. And see, if we brought that sidewalk real close to the property line like we did in the other option, we're concerned about it damaging the roots. How do we really quantify that? Right now, what I can tell you is that we would hire an arborist to go out there and analyze that for us better.
Okay,
Yeah, but we are paying attention to trees. I want you to know that.
thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see. Back to the, thank you. Okay, there we go. You folks see my slide there? Cameron, how am I doing? Good. All right, we're wrapping it up here. You folks are always welcome to go to our project website. We're meeting with you here. Cameron puts together great social media. We do send out emails, mailings. You're always welcome to call me directly and contact us. I appreciate your feedback. And then I wanted to share with you some of the costs. It's expensive. All of these environmental studies and purchase of right-of-way and the materials today that takes to build a road. And right now we've got budgeted 6.6 million. It's partly the grant, federal grant for the Metro Regional Flexible Fund Allocation Grant and county road funds. Here's the project website and my name and phone number and email address. And I wanted to briefly just share with you as a sign off just so we have a real quick look at the county's project website.
And then we do have one more question that
Yeah, you bet. Let me see if I can see what I'm trying to see here. Oh, no, oh, I'm still trying. Well, by golly, let's see if I can move that over here and see it.
Are you sharing screen?
Not yet. I'm trying to figure out. I might have to abandon. Oh no, I have to scroll. That's all I need to do. There we go. Maybe you folks have been to our county website. It is clackamas.us/engineering. And when you get to engineering, you've seen our page here. Go to current construction projects. It's current in the design phase. You'll scroll down, and you'll find Courtney right there. And you can read more about Cameron keeps this updated. She asked me questions about schedule, current activities, funding. The one that I like are the frequently asked questions. If you want to know more about what a complete street is, if you want to know more about why there's no parking, but that we are considering such, you can read what is a rain garden, speed table, why didn't we extend to Laurie Avenue, some of what we talked about tonight and whatnot. So I'll leave it at that and take any questions that you might have.
Thank you. I saw Bob Mahan's hand go up and then Anita.
Okay, sorry, I kind of answered part of my question. I was able to blow up. I'm on my phone, so seeing the presentation is a little tough on the maps. I did figure it out. It looks like you're actually doing what you did up on Lynn Avenue in Milwaukee, redoing the road, put in some massive sidewalk/bicycle paths in the rain gardens. This looks similar, except you didn't combine the sidewalk with the bicycle path. Not real impressed with the Lynn Avenue project. It's got a lot of money and it's still pretty scary to drive through there, the traffic. And you got massive sidewalks for hardly anybody. Not to badger you guys. One thing, you're talking about right-of-ways. What kind of right-of-ways are you having to purchase? Because what I understand, the highway right-of-way running from River Road to McLaughlin's like, what, 80 feet? It's a pretty good size one.
That is pretty good size.
So I just surprised you having to spend so much money on right-of-ways because it's already a pretty massive right-of-way running from River Road to McLaughlin up through there.
Yeah, duly noted. Well, you can be certain that the survey team has been out and they've identified exactly where that is. And so I can
realize there's a lot of yards and a lot of
Yeah.
mailboxes and grass that runs, out to the street, but
Yeah.
that's technically out in the highway right away, quite a ways, a lot of it. So
Sure. And you know what, we're real careful about that when we're pre-design and then during the 30% design phase. The reason we don't send right away out until the 60% stage is because we're trying to nail down where to place our project footprint. I call it, we wiggle the project footprint around to try to avoid purchasing right away, to avoid steep slopes where we have to build expensive retaining walls. So we try to figure out where to wiggle a project inside of the public right away. And if we, finally in the final analysis, we have to buy some right away, we have to buy some right away. But we try our best to conserve as much as possible.
Okay. And not to belabor it, and I'll let you go. I promise quit torturing you. But
Sure.
yeah, we need to figure out a way to extend that on Courtney down to Fair Oaks. That corner, that 90-degree corner at Courtney and Fair Oaks is terrible.
Okay.
And it's one thing you'll see if you go up, there's a lot more traffic between River Road and McLaughlin, but there's still a fair amount of traffic that comes down and hits Fair Oaks. All the people living down by the river and down through that section. The biggest problem is there's a lot of pedestrian traffic, kids to and from school, and that corner is blind, and people come down there and fly through that corner, and you can see the kids are always trying to figure out which way to move to keep from getting hit. And it's not just kids. Now with the expansion of Rosevilla, the Rosevilla crowd is walking their dogs, and they're down there a lot. And I bet during the day, if you drive through there, probably 80% of the time you go through that corner, somebody's going to be walking there within 100 yards each way of that corner. And it's a lot busier than you can imagine. So anyway, with that, I'll quit bugging you.
No, that's okay, Bob. You know what? I just want to leave you with this. I appreciate it. And this is a great place to start. It's a great opportunity for you to share. I want to also encourage you. And what folks do a lot of times is write to me directly. And then if I don't know the answer, I'll pass it on to our planning staff who help manage the future long-range planning of projects. And then we'll get back to you in writing. Sometimes putting things in writing, Bob, is the best because and then we can address each question that you've shared there verbally here. You nail that down on paper, you send it to me, and then we'll have to address each one for you. And I'll have even, our senior planning staff, because they got their eye on that ball more than I do, way out in the future and tied to our transportation system plan. If we're missing something, you got a great idea, or you've seen something, you can either do it that way, you can get involved in a community group and help us with those planning efforts. Those are great comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
And let Anita, you want to take the last question here for
sure.
Move on.
Mine's a more general question. I know that there's a big carbon footprint in producing concrete for sidewalks. And there's a business now in our area, I'm not exactly sure where it is, that's producing something called hard carbon, which is an alternative that's actually towards sustainability. Are you guys looking into that?
I haven't heard of it yet, but we're always looking at different options. You probably heard of the pervious porous concrete.
Right.
My first project in 2016 when I came to the county was in fact one of those projects over on 122nd, Sunnyside, 132nd. We did pervious concrete. Now it's a different one than you're talking about, but in a similar fashion, we're always willing to try new things. However, we don't try it without, some research and advisement from others. And when we're using federal funds, there's a lot of feedback, so that we're using public dollars carefully. And I haven't heard of what you're talking about, but it sounds like, hey, there's another neat idea that might be, come our way.
Okay, I'll send you a link.
Great.
Thank you.
You bet.
Well, thank you, Bob, for being here and for a very thorough conversation and answering all the questions. And thank you, Cameron, also for being here with us this evening. So we look forward to seeing the project a few years out, wherever it is. So thank you again.
We appreciate your support. We look forward to serving. Good night.
Good night. Craig, you're up.
Okay, thanks, Valerie. I am going to share share my screen as well. See if this. Okay, can everybody see that? Okay. Well, thanks for having me on the agenda tonight to give you an update on a lingering project and a few things that we have in the works as well. And I think Bob did a nice job of setting stage for me to hand off to me to at least talk about one of the items that we have talked about in the past. So I've got a few agenda items. I'd like to update you on the River Road to Park Avenue crosswalk. Bob showed you actually an image of the crosswalk that we'll be putting in, or the county will be putting in on River Road. Like to give you a high level overview of Willamette View's campus. We've got a master site series of projects that are underway, one of which is a duplex project on Silver Springs and River Road, and something that you will see happening for a little bit more than a year is actually going to be remodeling our health center. So you see that on River Road when you drive south towards, then you hit Rose Villa. On the right-hand side is our little skilled nursing unit, and then behind that to the west is our assisted living. And so we are kicking off a project to remodel those two buildings. And so I'll give you an update on that and let you know what you'll be seeing. The first item, my fourth bullet really should be my first, which is to say thank you for the support, because this has been an ongoing topic of conversation for some time about getting a crosswalk at the front entrance that we put in off of Park Avenue back in 2019, and actually had conversations going on with the county at the time back to 2018 and earlier about an additional crosswalk. So the county did come through with a design, and it was part of a grant funding. The communication I received is that the construction will be between February and May, actually probably now March and May or June. We're awaiting the confirmation of the specific date and time. I've asked them to let us know, because there's probably some things we need to do out there with redirecting traffic as well. And gosh, probably a year or maybe a year and a half ago, in one of the community council meetings, I showed you a slide of where that crosswalk is. Now, the white lines on the road are not there. They're ones that we drew in just to show where that crosswalk will come across the street. But that is the site for the crossing. And so it'll pick up on the sidewalk on the west side of River Road, get people across the street, down Park Avenue, and vice versa. And Bob had showed a picture of the rapid flashing beacon system. That's exactly what will be going in on this site. So it'll be one on each side of the road. And it's got the kind of dual flashing lights up here underneath the person walking, and then the directional signals. So I think it's really close to the one that Rose Villa has to go across the street. So at least we're getting another one of these on River Road to hopefully avoid any traffic issues and allow people to walk freely back and forth across the street. So we've shared this with the Willamette View population because, like Rose Villa, we have a lot of folks that are out walking every day, and in the neighborhood, there's a lot of folks out walking in the apartments and the homes. And we want to make sure that this is a safe passageway for folks to get across this section of River Road. So stay tuned. You'll see it under construction at some point over the next few months. Let's see. Next, I'm going to go to the overview of Willamette View's property and kind of set some context for you. I know that this is a busy aerial slide, but I mentioned that we are embarking on some master site development projects. What that means to us is that as we look towards the aging population and the aging services industry that we're in, we look at how our campus is developed. We've been in business, we will have been in business 70 years next January, so we've been around for a long time, and this campus has evolved literally over those 70 years. The most recent project that we had was up here at the north end of our campus of independent living apartments. It's the building that's got solar panels on the top. The way our property works, this is the railroad track that is to the west of us, right above the river. Willamette View actually has a parcel of property up here. If you can see my cursor moving in the upper left-hand corner on the river. We have this duplex, and what was the captain's house? That's property that we own, we've acquired over the years. And then you jump across the street. This is River Road, and we have a gravel parking lot here. We own a series of homes in this kind of quadrant. This is where I'll go to with the duplex project. And we've got a parking lot here at the east side of River Road. And then you jump way up to Park and River, and this is 21st. So over time, we acquired all these properties. So some of the investments that we made in homes around the area go back into the 90s. As recently as just a few months ago, we acquired some additional properties. So it's part of planning for the future for additional senior living and or services, which also ties into the fact that on our campus over some period of time, we'll most likely be replacing some of the buildings as they have aged beyond kind of their useful life, or the cost of repairing or maintaining is beyond the cost of building new. That's something that's on our radar too. So we have a pretty active appetite for capital reinvestment back into the community in the form of renovations or development or changes in buildings on the campus. Here where my cursor is, we call these River Ridge homes. These are duplex style living. We have 10 duplex and a couple of single family homes in here. This is part of the diversity of housing that we're offering. So I'm going to jump to the next slide, which is talking about a duplex project that we have. I think some people have heard about that recently. So it's across on the east side of River Road, Silver Springs, right on the corner. We're planning to develop 5 duplexes, which are similar to the 10 that are on our campus that I showed you. We went through a series with the county of lot line adjustments. We took 7 lots and had those adjusted into 5. You might ask, why did we do that? Well, we wanted each of the duplexes to sit on their own parcel of property for a variety of purposes. One is some of the property lines were very oddly shaped, and we couldn't situate effectively duplexes across multiple property lines. And so we went through the lot line adjustment process. The other factor is that if for some reason in the future, we decided that it was better that we sold those duplexes to folks, so that we could actually do that and have them on a legitimate parcel of property. The duplexes are about 1,900 square feet each. The size of them is a 1-car and a small golf cart. There'll be an EV charging station in the garage. 2-bedroom, 2-bath den, patio, fireplace. There's a common area to the back, which I'll show you a slide for roof, rain, water, and rain to somewhat of a bioswale structure. We're still in the process of working out the landscape design of it. Bob Bohannon asked why it takes so long to build. Well, we're dealing with the same thing. We've been designing for probably a year, and we're finally at a point where we could start construction this spring, and it's going to take more than a year to finish off the construction. One of the things that we will be doing from a community service standpoint is working with Clackamas Fire District. They know us quite well as a senior living community, and we have done a lot of things with the fire district over the years. So we'll be doing what they call a burn to learn. So we're going to offer them a couple of houses that would be torn down, and we're going to let them practice on those. And they call it burn to learn. We're also working with Milwaukee Police and the sheriff to provide them a home that they can do a practice SWAT team. Securitization of a home. I've got some dates on those to share with you, but actually we understand that the fire department and the police and sheriff will be communicating with all the neighbors in the area to make sure that they're aware of what they're doing and when they're doing it, so that it doesn't cause any undue concerns by the neighbors. So what we've done with these homes, we have a very actively engaged part of our community focuses on recycle, reuse, green practices, green technology. So we have taken all the homes and we have done asbestos abatement. We have removed things out of the homes, hot water systems, furnaces, appliances. We have gifted those out to other nonprofits. We had a person come in and take cabinets and doors, things that they can reuse. We had some folks come in and take up oak wood flooring in a couple of the houses. So as much as we can reclaim and provide back out to others, we have done that. So the homes on Friday this week, the utilities hookups, the water and gas meters will all be removed, and the fire department will come in and position a couple of the houses that they're going to use for their burn to learn and get those shored up. So the timing that we have at this point is around Friday, March 15th, somewhere in there, a couple of days is what the police and the sheriff are looking at for a SWAT training event. And then it's a month's window of time. A lot of it's based on weather, but mid-March to mid-April is when the fire department will actually come on site to do their burn to learn programs. We actually donate money to both those organizations for the effort that they're putting into doing the training, and it helps minimize the amount of debris actually that comes off the property at the end of the day when we go to excavate those houses.
Greg,
Yeah.
how far an area will they notify neighbors? I mean, there's the fire itself in the project, but if for anyone's sensitive to smoke, that moves. So how far away are you gonna let people know? Because that sounds crazy.
I will ask that question, Valerie. I've got a couple people that are actually working directly with the fire department. So I will ask, because that's come up multiple times in the conversations that I've been made aware of. And that's why they're watching the weather very closely to make sure that it's not a time when it's windy, so things are going to be blown around. And then they can manage the fire and the debris. So I will ask the range of the neighbor information. Okay. This is a Very, very simple architect slash landscape design. The green is not grass. We're not planning on planting back in a lot of grass. It's just what they use to draw this thing up. So you can see how the duplexes are laid out. There's 3 on Silver Springs. There are 2 that will be actually up at the top. The gray looks like a lollipop is actually an access road to a turnaround, because that's on a parcel of property that we own, and it'll be a minimum access road to get into the driveways of these duplexes. Like I said, there's 10 of them. The gray boxes, let's see if you can see my cursor right in here. Those are patios on the back of the homes, driveway up here. This box right here is was the original kind of water drain bioswale. Those will be reduced down to a smaller size for just the front of the house drain, because the back of the houses will all be draining in this common area. So this will all be landscaped with rock, natural landscape, granite pathway, bark, chips, and so forth, as a way to draw water into that area, because there's actually some low spots in there, and then it'll pull out to River Road. So instead of having each home have to have a lot of drainage around their units out to the front, we're able to use this common area for the drainage area. So there's not going to be fences in the backyards of these places, because we're counting on the landscaping to just to service that. Somebody had asked about mature trees. I'm a tree lover, but I can tell you that we used every effort possible on these properties to figure out how we could salvage trees. And unfortunately, the way the lots were lined up and the trees, we're not going to be able to. There might be 1 or 2 of them. We're still working with the landscape architect on that to see. They're going to be probably up over in here towards River Road. But we do plan to plant back native plants and trees, and as much kind of xeriscape landscaping as possible. So all along Silver Springs, the front of the houses will all have more of a natural grassy shrub plantings, and we're really trying to get away with as little as possible of grass. Anything that we would need to irrigate and mow is what we're really trying to minimize in this area. Let's see, we still have some more work to do in this area. We've actually looked at, maybe what a community dog park would look like over here, because we have this parcel of property that we're looking at, and we've got some just basically a lot of the work in the landscape area to finish off, but it just gives you kind of a general layout of what we're working on. From an elevation standpoint, and this is the architects doing their fine work of I'd say how beautiful things can be. I don't think this is actually the finishes of the exterior of the units, but it just gives you an idea of what an exterior is possible to look like. There will be no grass, like I said. And this is the back side of it. So this is the patio. I don't think the kids come with it, but it gives you an idea of just what the back of the duplex would look like. Okay, I'm going to switch to our health center remodeling. We can come back and I can answer questions that you have on these projects.
I do want to mention that we're going over time, so.
Okay, I'll be very quick here. So our health center project, 23 years old. We are remodeling the skilled unit and our assisted living. You can see the dates here. I'm just gonna say this is soup to nuts. It's exterior, windows, interior, HVAC, furniture, everything. We're gonna be updating it completely, so it's got another useful life of another 25 to 30 years. We're adding solar to the assisted living building. It's got a nice new flat roof on it that we're going to utilize to capture energy. So you'll see that project going on starting at the end of March. You'll see a fence and a sign, and we'll be under construction in April on that skilled unit. We're going to add one more skilled bed from the 6 we have to 7. So, okay, that's it. Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you, Craig. Thanks for coming and sharing that. I'm sure there's going to be some other questions as we go along. And I'm going to get in touch with you because I've been getting neighbor feedback that I would like to be able to sit down and talk with you about. So.
And people are free to email me too. So I'm happy to take any questions that folks have.
You want to stop sharing and then we can see the.
Yeah. Sure.
Any questions? Well, I'm sure there will be questions as construction gets started because that's the way things usually work. So thank you very much, Craig. Joseph, do we have Luart tonight?
Luart tonight is going to be a preview of Luart next month. So it'll be quick. Since we're behind schedule, it's probably just fine. So there've been some really kind of small applications that have been going on. Nothing really nothing that's really required any kind of engagement. Just small additions to homes and with a little bit of habitat conservation area or with floodplain on some part of the site. But what's the kind of biggest one that's come through recently is from the North Clackamas Watershed Council. There's a grant funded project to install a log jam in the confluence of River Forest Creek where it meets the Willamette River. That's right across the street from my house. And so this is a cool project, and we actually have the application for this now. And it's under review because it requires a floodplain development permit, even though it's a log jam. Anyway, we'll take a look at it next month. And, again, I don't think there's any reason that we need to, submit comments on this one. It's more just an interesting one to share and just kind of know what's about some of the restoration efforts that are going on in the community. We don't always see projects like this around here. So I'd be happy to share this with us next month when I have better equipment to share. So with that, Valerie.
Thanks, Joseph. Okay, committee reports. Do we have a DAC or a NCPRD report tonight? Anita, go ahead.
Mark could also do it, but I'll just throw in the one that I was going to do, which is that I went earlier this evening to sub-area 1. Part of Oak Grove is in, most of Oak Grove is in sub-area, the Parks District sub-area 2, but part of it's in sub-area 1 with Jennings Lodge. And there's going to be a new park in the former Jennings Lodge School on River Road, and they had an open house about it tonight. And they seem, from what I could see, it seemed like 2 really fabulous design options that are not just ordinary, predictable parks, but have a lot of imagination and aesthetic to them. Definitely good playgrounds, all inclusive, all abilities playgrounds planned. One park is maybe oriented more towards being able to, older kids playing soccer or something, and the other is more oriented to smaller field and a larger playground section and more varied things like pathways and seating areas, that sort of thing. More trees in one of the options. Anyway, if you wanted to see the options, they're going to post them in a day or two on ncprd.com, and you can also take a survey if you wanted to weigh in on them. So I'll let it go at that.
Thanks. Mark, do you have anything to add with DAC
Yeah,
or NCPRD?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that, many of you might have heard some of the controversies around the status of the Wichita School. and the social programs that are being provided there. I'm putting in the chat a frequently asked questions document that was developed by the county to answer some questions that are out there about the property. One thing I do want to stress is the property is owned by NCPRD, but is operated by the North Clackamas School District. So I'm going to put that in the chat, and then if you are interested to look at that, you can take a look at that and save it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay,
Can I add one thing to that, what Mark said?
sure.
There are negotiations going on about the future of these services and the future of the property, but as far as what every person involved or every group involved has said, they want to have the services continue. We don't know exactly how, but everybody wants to work towards not having them interrupted, but to have these services continue.
Great. Thank you. Is there a CERT team report?
Yes, real quickly, we're having good conversations with both the fire department, with our relationship with them, and also the county Clackamas disaster management. One interesting thing, and one of the things that we've been pretty excited about, is we have about 5 or 6 people that are going to first aid and CPR AED instructor training. And our intent for this right here is to be able to provide this training to the neighborhoods, to local community groups at no charge. And if somebody wanted that, because it is a standardized training and they wanted a certificate, CPR, AED, or first aid, or both, they could pay just the cost of the certificate, which is like $10 or something like that, and get that certificate if they need that for their training. But it's something that we want to go ahead and try to use to build a neighborhood cohesiveness around preparedness and just emergency preparedness. That's it.
Great, wonderful. Are there other committee reports tonight? Are there, is there any community input, ideas, thought, concern? Thelma.
I'm just finishing up the CIA newsletter, so there are a couple things that I picked up out of that you might not know about. March 9th, Saturday, there is a winter music festival going on at the Elks Lodge. There are 8 bands that will be playing. The cost, if you get your tickets ahead of time, at the lodge, they're at the office or at the bar, you can get them, or there's a website that I'll be putting in the newsletter. Tickets are $45 per person ahead of time and $50 per person at the door. Also, that's the same day as the service for Larry McIntyre. Some of you may have known Larry. He was at one time a mayor in West Lynn, and I'm going to put his service into the newsletter, and it's the same day as the Winter Music Festival. And then the other thing that will be affecting our community is that Sarah Jo Chaplin is leaving the Oak Lodge Water Services at the end of March. So we'll be getting a new general manager.
That's good to know. Are there other reports from the community or thoughts? Bob Bohannon.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of forward along. I had a conversation with a couple of, let's just say, county employees yesterday, and they're a little frustrated. They've been working for a couple of years now to get up on East Avenue where Safeway used to be, and Jack in the Box, the street that runs behind the buildings there. It's now where the credit union is. There's a contractor that lives in the townhouses across the way there that has about anything from 6 to 10 of his company trucks that are parked there and sometimes don't move for many months at a time. They're a little frustrated. I guess the fire department's pretty frustrated with trying to get their apparatuses through there occasionally because the street's fairly narrow. So if they've got one of their engines coming through and there's a car coming the other way, it's a little tight. They've been tagging and ticketing and hassling with that contractor with the vehicles. And there's another couple of folks, big semi truck parks there quite a bit. They've been trying to get those pushed along. They're having a little bit of just resistance in getting anything to happen. They had asked if we could maybe, as a group, start sending in notices through the zoning compliance folks, or maybe we can write a letter. I don't know. It would be up to the group to maybe get something moving along in that direction. He should actually be having a commercial parking spot, a commercial spot, just like, all the other contractors out and about or commercial businesses. He's using the county streets to park his equipment. Anyway, they're a little bit frustrated, and they would really like some help with contacting the code enforcement folks to maybe get them to start writing it up a little bit. Maybe some fines are in order. They've not been able to get much on their own so far, but.
So Bob, tell me, who is it that's asking? Is it the businesses, the credit union, or the people that are on East Avenue?
From what I understand, it's the fire department. I actually heard from a couple of county deputies that were working it, and they were actually having an issue with a transient, or I don't know, some drugged person yesterday, and they're using the vehicles also for concealment and whatnot. So it's just something that's been a little bit frustrating for them, and they've been trying to get them moved along now for about 2 years in some cases. So they actually were looking yesterday. There were several of the vehicles yesterday that haven't had insurance on them since late last fall. So it's been a while. It's been several months. So technically it's against the law for them to even be on the street. So
right. And so what it sounds like I'm hearing from you is there's county people asking us to contact the county.
Correct.
Okay.
They're looking for a little help from the from the neighborhood to kind of help speed things along.
Hey, Bob, why don't you and I talk about this when we have a chance, and then if there's next month, we can come back to the community council and say kind of what we recommend our approach, whether it's a letter or a campaign of some kind to submit complaints through the web form. We can come back next month.
Okay, yeah, it's just something that I stumbled into late, probably 4:30 yesterday afternoon. So.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. I just want to make sure that we're writing a letter that makes we know effectively who we're talking to and what that is about. Are there other comments, announcements, public input from the community tonight? If not, our next meeting will be on March 27th. And at that meeting, Erin Rail and team will be coming. She is working for NCPRD at doing the community outreach around the park system planning. So they're going to come to our meeting, and it will be an opportunity to help think about which groups need to be contacted and to do some initial work around the system plan for the park. So I think it should be a good opportunity for this community to have some early input and to how that outreach is actually, the community engagement is going. Mark, would you have anything to add on to that? Did that feel like a correct summary of what we're doing?
Yes, and I would say that the community engagement process is going to happen in May and June. So this is kind of preparatory work to plan for it so that it can take place. And the intent is for the district to come to us instead of us to go to them. So they're intending to try to come to places where people already meet and gather.
And if you have other groups that you know of that you think that should be part of that, then at our meeting on the 27th, that will be your opportunity to bring that up and give that feedback to Aaron and the team as they're putting the system plan community engagement together. And then our next board meeting will not be until a very foolish April 1st. So we'll until then, I guess that's all for tonight, and people are welcome to stick around for a few minutes if they want to talk to one another, but we want to thank everyone for being here and thank our presenters for being here with us tonight. Thank you.
Good, thank you.